Greetings, my name is Tiffany Mayse. I use she, her pronouns, and my data job collection method is cognitive task analysis. So what are we going to learn? Here are my objectives: to introduce cognitive task analysis, CTA, job data obtained, purposes and applications, how it works with an example, hesitations, and wrap up with the strengths and challenges of this method. So cognitive task analysis method is used to analyze and understand the cognitive processes involved in performing tasks. It is created and not purchased. According to Rosen and colleagues, it is a worker-oriented approach with a broader set of tools, techniques, and approaches for eliciting, analyzing, representing knowledge, and cognitive processes involved in the task performance. This is a newer science. It's rooted in the cognitive and human factor psychology, but we really do not begin to see a lot of applications with this until the 1990s. And the real focus here is comparing performance between a novice and an expert with a specific job or task. So the purpose we have found is really to improve training and systems design involved in the task execution. CTA looks at mental processes that are often omitted from both the worker-oriented and trait-based oriented methods. There are many ways to complete a task. However, an expert may automatically perform the task compared to a novice who is still learning. So we look at two things, descriptors of CTA, which are knowledge and skill. Declarative knowledge is the knowledge, it's the what. It is what is conscious knowledge. What you can say or tell someone informs the foundations of procedural knowledge, which is the how. This is an application or to do something. Here we are performing a step. Like we can easily drive a stick shift after we've learned to do it, but we may be able to do it, but it may be harder for us to explain how to do it to someone else. We also look at skills. Skills are automated, are fast and effortless. This refers to tasks that a person can perform without conscious thought, often due to excessive practice, and requires minimal cognitive resources. So an example of this may be riding a bike. Once you do it, you never forget. And this identifies tasks that are performed automatically, noting conditions under which they have become automated, and assesses how automation impacts overall task performance. Representational skills involve the ability to create, use, and manipulate mental representations. So an example here may be visualizing something complex, like being able to do math in your head. These types of representations used and their effectiveness in aiding task performance. Last, we have decision making, and this is the ability to choose between two different options based on the available information, goals, and expected outcomes. And this one, again, is complex. Maybe it's something like financial planning or playing a strategic game such as chess. Here we are assessing how expertise, experience, and contextual factors influence the decision making. So to conclude, from novice to expert, steps become very automatic, and the worker no longer has to think about each step in order to achieve the goal. This comes from the practice of declarative knowledge. Problem solving kicks in because trial and error has already occurred, and the novice is learning from their work experience. So cognitive analysis, the goal is to achieve a comprehensive and accurate picture that will be used to create practical applications, and this can be done through 5 different processes. The first is interviewing. Interviewing can be structured, semi-structured, unstructured. We will look to subject matter experts and their processes and routines and capture that. This is very structured and job specific, and we typically capture this through surveys and our questionnaires. Team communication. Here, communication among team members can be analyzed for the evidence of the mental processes. Diagramming is very helpful because it can indicate the relationships among concepts of tasks. So an example, cognitive mapping, which is a visual representation of the cognitive process used in tasks, or a flowchart, which is a visual representation of the sequence and actions and decisions. Verbal reports are the fourth one, and this is really important. This is the think out loud. This is when you're with them and they can tell you the steps while you're actually participating in the task or project. And last is psychological scaling. Here, experts are asked to sort, rank, or rate items into categories, and this gives us the quantitative results to give us representation to the relationships among sets and concepts. CTA is very much like putting a puzzle together because you have to take a lot, complete the understanding of cognitive tasks, identify and fill in gaps, integrate diverse elements, use interactive and symptomatic approaches, and you deal with a lot of complexity during this. So CTA has become superior training tool for many professions. We see it in ergonomics, which is the study of people's efficiency in their work environment, cybernetics, which is the study of human-machine interactions. Training is probably at the forefront. For example, it has become the key method for surgical education throughout the world. There's system design, which creates user-friendly interfaces and systems that align with cognitive processes. This one helps me, the human-computer interaction. For example, I run a couple platforms. Now that I know it, I can automatically, I don't have to think through the steps. And it also helps with error analysis by upfront telling us the strategies to mitigate them. We're going to have an example. This is how we capture experts performing a task. So we're looking at the job of an airport screener. Their job is to ensure nothing dangerous gets on a plane, but also keep the lines moving to prevent delays. The purpose of this analysis study was to enhance training for screeners. The focus of the analysis was based on decisions made by the screener. They could either pass the bag along, search the bag manually, or stop it in the machine. The analysis of watching these screeners found the difference between the expert and the novice was the library of stored images that the experts formed from performing the task over and over again. Experts knew that what the items were, but the novices did not, because those automated skills and that library were not present yet. So some of the hesitations when looking at CTA is the consequence of using expertise. A Hoffman study that 70% of information that novices needs were omitted by the experts, and experts often underestimate the difficulty and time for novices to learn. There's also the issue of subjectivity of expert knowledge. It can be very, different between person to person. So reliability and validity is hard because CTA uses analysis and results, and it can vary depending on the methods used and that particular person studied. So when we're looking at some of the strengths and positives, it reduces human error, as CTA can identify common pitfalls and helps new employees learn faster and make less mistakes, which saves the organization money. The biggest takeaway from CTA is that it improves it improves training. This is seen as the most positive outcome of CTA and supports knowledge management that transfers to new employees. There's also challenges. It is very resource intensive. Interpreting results can be labor-intensive processes and burdensome, especially for an organization that's small or with limited resources. We also have to look that it's very expensive with that. There's also the problem with generalizability. It can be very job specific, so it can be very hard to take all of this time and it only be applicable to one particular area of work. So to summarize, here are my references. CTA is a comprehensive approach to understanding the mental aspects of work with a strong foundation in cognitive and human factor psychology. It offers significant benefits in enhancing workplace performance and training programs, but also requires substantial resources and expertise to implement effectively. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope everyone had a great 4th.